going to be covering today, very simple, how to read minds, easy peasy, how to become a communication expert, and how to unlock your higher potential. So, some light topics we're going to be getting into. Of course, when I'm talking about reading minds, I'm going to be teaching you how to read your own mind. So we're going to start with emotional intelligence. I want to know, this is how we're going to start off, what does emotional intelligence mean to some of you? Yell it out. So yeah, basically we can break emotional intelligence into a couple different categories. The self component and the social component. And you already kind of touched on it. There's the self-awareness and self-management, so being aware of what's going on inside my mind, even inside my body. And then the way that is kind of mixing with the environment I'm in, the people around me, the setting, the tone, what we're working within. And this is where it can kind of become a bit of a superpower. So I see some people taking notes. This is great. I'm going to tell you some of the key things that you need to write down. But before we get into too much writing and into our mind too much, I would love to have a volunteer join me up front here just for a little bit of a demonstration. Good job. So emotional intelligence, just checking in. How do you feel even standing up here right now?
It feels great.
Feels good? Mm-hmm. Do you get any kind of nerves being in front of peers or in front of people?
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay, so right now your body language, you're doing a little bit of side-to-side pacing, right? So that could signal, even if you're cool as a cucumber, that could signal that maybe there's a little bit of something, some uneasiness. This kind of, what we kind of map out with our body often signals what we think is going on inside of our mind as well. So you feel fine. Do you feel generally safe in front of these people?
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm going to ask you just a couple quick fire questions, see how well you know yourself. What's your favorite color?
Purple.
Purple. What is your favorite type of fruit?
Bananas.
Bananas, okay. What is one of your favorite songs of all time?
Four-Wheeler by Miles.
Okay, do we know this song? Yeah, a couple of people are in on this, okay. The song got an applause. Okay, so just a quick thing, if you wouldn't mind, can you just sing some of that song for everyone right now?
I don't think I could be able to do that.
So how many people would that be your worst nightmare if I just had you up here doing that? I see a couple nodding, yeah. So that can be very uncomfortable. Some of us were no problem, I can get up, I can do it. And there's different things we're going to talk about that we use to kind of protect ourselves even when we are in a pretty scary situation like that. But this is that first piece about that self-awareness, is to check in. Okay, how do I feel? What's going on? When I'm in front of people, am I starting to get really sweaty? Is that a thing? And maybe it's some of those physiological things. And if I know that about myself, I'm oh, okay, well, if I'm going to have 2 talks back to back, maybe I'll bring an extra shirt. And I'll know that about myself so I can swap out so I don't have giant pit stains when I'm talking. This could be a very useful tool when you get into boardrooms and start doing business meetings. That we need space. You said it great. You said, sorry, I was a little distracted to check in with myself. And that's remarkable, right? Because this is the world we live in. We are in a world full of distractions, full of entertainment. Basically, entertainment translates to distractions. Your phones, the music, flashing lights, all this kind of stuff. And it stops us from being aware of what's going on inside. So when we slow down, leave some space, we have a little bit more opportunity to check in. Peace. Now, I'm going to introduce a bit of a concept here, and this is super introduction on this. How many people have heard of Sigmund Freud before? Right? We got this image with dude with a cigar, beard. He had a beard, right? Yeah, beard. And he proposed this concept of the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. Have we heard the term unconscious before? Awesome. She's so smart. If Maya had a sandwich and I was really hungry, then my id would just be oh, if Maya's not paying attention, I can just run over and quick pop, take that sandwich and run, then that would be totally cool, right? Not cool. Maya looks like a very nice person, and that would not be socially acceptable. So this is where that superego comes in. The superego is are you with me so far? Some of this making sense, right? We've all felt these different things where, why did I act this way? Have an argument with my parents, have an argument with a friend, and not really understand all of the pieces as to what led us there. This is what drives interpersonal conflicts a lot of the time. So one of the things that I do inside of organizations is I'll go in and I'll do assessments with people. Either sit down with the management team and I'll look at different personality styles. There are all kinds of assessment tools out there like Myers-Briggs indicator, there's DISC, there's insights, where I'll basically say like, okay, well I, say in the DISC model, I'm an I. In the DISC. So that means that I like being loud, I'm person-focused, this is how I would communicate, I'm pretty decent at making eye contact, then we can get someone else who's like very analytical and quiet, and I map out or help them map out how different personality styles work within an organization and can work together. And when you start getting people to look at themselves and I start mapping out, so this probably would indicate that you tend to anger quickly and you tend to do this, it gets very vulnerable. It gets very scary. And Freud also talked about a way that we kind of help to protect ourselves. And he introduced the concept of defense mechanisms. So when we talk about the things that stop us from being able to be up here and sing or dance, or I don't know, does kids still do this? I don't know. No, okay, I'll keep that to myself. We can get into the realm of defense mechanisms, and there are many, many, many defense mechanisms that have been built upon since the days of Freud and expanded upon, but some of these we're pretty familiar with. I was the type of person that would have always gotten up in front of the stage, and if you had asked me to sing, I would have done it, but I would have done it so over the top. I would have like done it in a big opera voice, and I would have hidden myself behind my humor.